Number one least favorite thing is there's no coffee.
Excuse me, sir?
Wait, what? We could fill the entire universe with an innumerable amount of things that would absolutely blow most Americans' minds when it comes to Americans traveling to any place in Europe. And I was one of those Americans, okay? So I've taken a break from traveling for a little bit. I mean, I'm literally in South Korea right now, but I mean traveling to Europe. And when I was in Europe, I was specifically mainly hovering around Germany. And there were tons of things that were norms out there that blew my mind. The recycling system, the fun machine, oh my gosh, absolutely God tier when it comes to something like that. I was so surprised we don't really have anything like that in the United States. And then other things like the bike lanes and stuff, and then people's stickler attitudes towards the rules in said country. I was very mind blown, and it's very different, like the sentiments that we have in the United States versus like anywhere in Europe and stuff. And then of course throughout Europe you have like different sectors of countries and stuff that tend to operate a bit different. The more north you go in Europe, the more introverted it seems people are, and the more south you go in Europe, it seems people are a tad bit more friendly. But I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments down below. But in this video today, we're actually going to be covering a lot of the normalcies that exist in Europe that absolutely put Americans in a coma when they figure out, oh my gosh, this is not what we're used to. So if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. If you guys are returning viewers, welcome back. But before you get started, obviously, as always, make sure you guys like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. And feel free to give me an experience that you've had with an American that has been absolutely mind blown over some of the simplest things that exist in Europe, where you're like, dude, this is normal. How do you guys not have this in the United States? Greatest country in the world, apparently. So let's go ahead and dive into our first video and see exactly what the hype is about.
Moved from Dubai to Belgium, and grocery shopping is so different here. I'm originally from America, and here are things that would send Americans in a coma at the grocery store. Part 1. Number 1, you have to pay to use a grocery cart. This
is something that is very prominent also in Germany as well. Like I said, most of my experiences I'm going to be referencing are anecdotal to Germany. That is the one place that I visited in Europe. I have been to Belgium as well, but I did not go there longer than maybe a day or two. And same with the Netherlands. I wasn't there long enough to be referencing a whole bunch of experiences, but I can say that I did have a lot of similar experiences in Germany. And Germany is not all of Europe. It is just a small part of Europe, but definitely different enough for me to make some commentaries on it. So yes, the grocery cart thing is interesting. You don't necessarily quote unquote pay for the grocery cart. You just put your, euro inside the grocery cart, you use it and stuff. And when you're done, you put your grocery cart back and you get your euro back. So I know one of the misconceptions a lot of Americans see when they interact with something like that is they're like, oh my God, I have to pay for a grocery cart. They're just free of the United States. But the problem is people steal grocery carts in the United States all the time. It is a common thing.
€1. What if you don't have any coins? Like you have to hold everything in your hands, or you have to go home and get change. Number 2, the milk, eggs, and butter is not refrigerated.
I know that this is a tale as old as time when it comes to people not being cool. And when I mean people, I mean us Americans not being cool with the eggs and the milk not being refrigerated. But it's just the way that the produce is taken care of throughout Europe is entirely different than how it's handled in the United States. In fact, I feel like the way that we handle it in the United States is also is low-key a detriment to the lifespan of those dairy products, right? So eggs, cheese, milk, things of the sort. I mean, our expiration dates, I mean, they age like avocados, bro. Like you buy a carton of milk and it lasts 3 days. Same with eggs, same with anything else. And you know what the common denominator is with all of those dairy products? They're refrigerated. So our dairy products are insane because, again, the way we cure our stuff, clean the eggs, it's very different than how it's handled throughout Europe. So of course, when you have people traveling into the United States, they're like, dang, like the expiration date's tomorrow. Why is that? But then when we go over to any country in Europe and we look at the expiration dates for milk, eggs, things of the sort, it's like months out. And I'm like, good Lord. That is insane. And on top of that, they don't have to be refrigerated. I have a question for you guys, because I think I might have asked it before in a previous video, but I'll ask it again. When you put eggs in the refrigerator, right? And I'm talking about the eggs that we see here that are on the shelves that don't have to be refrigerated normally, because I buy eggs from a market in Korea and they're not refrigerated, right? They're just like stacked on top of each other. They're like, they sell them in packs of 30 and they're real cheap. I think they're about €3, maybe €2 for 30 eggs, which is insane. It's an amazing deal. When you put them in the refrigerator, do they go bad faster? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments down below. I thought putting everything in the refrigerator kind of extended the lifespan, but that's something I have been told. Maybe it's like an American myth. Maybe it's an actual thing. I don't know. You guys let me know and we'll go from there. But yeah, this is one of the common things that I know sends Americans through the roof. They're like, I am not picking up that milk. Warm milk that has been sitting on the shelf for forever. Are you trying to poison me?
I thought was so weird at first But apparently this is completely normal in Europe and pretty much the rest of the world. That's what I said in my last video, guys. America is on its own planet.
Yes.
I was so confused at first, but my husband explained to me the milk is ultra pasteurized, so it doesn't need to be refrigerated until it's open.
Yes.
Number 3, opening and grabbing water.
Bro, I feel like these culture shocks are very similar to Germany, man. And Belgium is right next to Deutschland. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy, bro, because this messed me up. This actually messed me up. So I have a clip, right? You can watch my first video of me traveling to Germany and stuff like that. I went to a grocery store. My friends took me to a regular supermarket in Germany. And, you know, they're showing me all the little things, the aisles. One of the big things they showed me was the milk, right? Just being out in the open, not inside of a refrigerator. The eggs also being out in the open on a regular shelf versus not being in the refrigerator, right? And I'm like, that's interesting. That's really crazy. But what blew my mind was walking in the drinks aisle and noticing people are taking individual drinks out of packages. That's demonic. Look at this.
Yeah, it's German efficiency.
Bro, a missing beer bottle. Even here, bro, look at,
Also, like,
bro, what the freak? Oh yeah, they're not in like a refrigerator.
yep.
That's interesting. I wonder why.
You don't need them to have
Until you open it up.
in a refrigerator.
Oh, that makes sense. That's something I've wanted to do my entire life when I've gone to a store and I'm like, hey, look, I want a Sprite or a Pepsi or this juice or this water bottle, right? But I don't want the whole pack. I just want one of them. And all of the single versions of them are already sold out. So that section on the shelf is empty. But in America, if you were to go into a package and pull out one of them, they're going to charge you with something. All right. They're going to charge you with something because you have to pay for the entire package. You can't just pay for one. That's just how it is in the United States, right? Which doesn't make any sense. But here, you could pull one of those cans, like that we see right here on the screen. You could pull one of those cans outside of the package and pay for that one can and you're good. That's mind blowing. And it shouldn't be, but it is. Like, okay, what is that experience like for you guys that have traveled to the United States and realize you can't just go and pull out a drink from a package, even though you only want the one drink, the singular drink? But apparently they don't have it by itself. You have to buy a 4-pack or a 6-pack or a 12-pack of that item. But you decide to just grab one. Like, what was your experience doing that if you wind up doing that? Or did you catch on quick and you're like, ah, man, I guess I can't do that.
Soda juice right from the packaging and taking only one.
Yes.
Like, look
That's
at
crazy.
all these open waters. I'm pretty sure this is illegal in America.
Yes, it is.
But now that I can do this in Europe, it's pretty satisfying.
Yeah.
Like and follow for part 2.
Yeah, that's actually crazy. Honestly, I do know what would happen if I tried that in America. I would go to jail. I would go to jail. They would call the cops on me, my guy. You don't pay for the cart. You get your euro back when you put the cart back. Another difference is you put your cart back. That's something that's a bit different when it comes to shopping anywhere in Europe versus the United States. You know what I'm saying? Because in the United States, it's common for people to be stealing the grocery carts or not returning them to where they need to go. Because it's bigger than stealing, right? There was this content creator, you might have heard of him. He's called the Cart Narc, and he'll go around because people are so brain dead in the United States, right? They will go and shop and they'll leave their grocery carts just anywhere. Like, they don't leave them where they got them. They leave them in the middle of the parking lot, in parking spaces when they're done, or in a very inconvenient spot that obstructs some type of flow of traffic. It's very annoying and it's insane. But this incentivizes people to put the carts back where they belong, so they're out of people's way and they're at the central focal point of where to retrieve those carts when people need carts to go grocery shopping. So I think that's very effective. Hold on. You pay and leave the money in that cart? No. Yes, you pay. Yes, the money technically stays in the cart for the entirety of your grocery trip. But when you're done, you put the cart back and the money pops back out. You're good. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you pay €1 every single time you shop. You use the same euro to get your grocery cart. Just bring a little euro with you. It's not a big deal. I used to have it messed up though. I used to think the same thing. I used to think when you went grocery shopping anywhere in Europe and stuff, right? You take your euro, you feed it into this like infinite void inside the grocery cart, and that was that. You just needed to have an additional euro every single time you went shopping because that's just how it was. But it's just, you had that coin, you put it in there, it disconnects, you go do your shopping and stuff like that, and when you're done and you put your your cart back, it dislodges and you get your coin back, you get your euro back. So it's not a big deal. It really is not a big deal. It's actually a pretty effective system, and it allows the environment to look presentable. So would you look at that? Be careful when saying the rest of Europe. When visiting one country, every country does it differently. In Denmark, it's all refrigerated. That is very true. I have a bad habit of doing that myself. Even to this day, I'll be like, oh yeah, all of Europe does this. Now here's the thing. I've talked about this a million times, so I'll give you a very short version of what I've said before. The reason why there's these comparisons between the entire continent of Europe versus the country of the United States is because there are some commonalities amongst every single country in Europe that is fundamentally different than the United States. Of course, there's a lot of individual differences between all of the countries amongst themselves in Europe, right? But there are commonalities with all of those countries that don't exist at all in the United States. For instance, the quality of food, right? The quality of food in any European country is significantly higher than the United States. The United States just generally does not give a fuck about quality food, apparently. So,
3 cultural shocks in Copenhagen, Europe,
as an American. Actually, guys, here in Copenhagen, Europe, they don't use trash cans to throw everything on the ground.
So guys, another
this has got to be a troll, bro. This has got to be a troll. There's no way, dog. Absolutely. I'm pretty sure they got like some type of recycling system out there. This is clearly, they're trolling. They got to be.
fact is in Denmark, Copenhagen, Europe, there's clean water everywhere. Just jump in, get some fresh water like this. So guys, another fun fact.
That cut is crazy. Maybe, I don't know, man. I gotta take this definitely with a grain of salt. You guys let me know if this is true or not.
Here in Denmark, you can get every girl's phone number. So walk up and get the phone number.
Yeah, it's a troll, bro.
This is how it's done in Copenhagen, Denmark, Europe.
Oh my God. All right. So obviously this is a troll. I do need to see what these comments had to say because this is absolutely insane. Don't drink the water, bro. Obviously. Yeah. Immediately I'm like, all right. Okay. All right. Yeah. You'll see something like this and be like, oh, okay. Like I can drink the water in Denmark, and then boom, come back with the most diabolical stomach bug in your entire life. You're not fooling anyone with the thick Dinglish accent. Yeah. Immediately I'm like, okay, these guys are trolling the accent, blah, blah, blah. That's fucking hilarious. But this next comment is actually pretty interesting, and I want you guys' opinion on it. As it says, you're not kidding about the trash thrown on the ground. Do people really throw their trash on the ground like that? Like, is it that common in Denmark? Because that's kind of diabolical, you know? Now, we do it in America. We absolutely do that in America a lot. Depends on the area. Some places do it more than others, but we absolutely are litter bugs. We litter.
Part 7 of things that are normal in Europe that would send the average American into an absolute coma. There's only 2 types of people who are allowed to open carry firearms or guns in this entire country and the country next door. And for anybody new here, I live on the border of France and Switzerland, so I go in between both countries, and I'm talking about both countries because my husband works in Switzerland, we live in France, and we're constantly going back and forth. So there is literally no threat of gun violence anywhere that you go. You don't have to worry about your kids getting shot at school. You don't have to worry about leaving your...
Listen to that really quick. That's a big one. That is a big one. That's something that shouldn't even be like a thing, right? That shouldn't be a thing at all. Like nobody should be worrying about their kids getting blasted to the moon going to school. But that's a harsh reality in the United States, right? And every American talks about it, right? Because that's a very stark reality, and it's terrible. It's actually terrible. So it's cool that she actually feels safe out here, right, with her family and everything. But it's sad that we have to go through this in the United States, man. Like I know the solution isn't getting rid of guns. It's too late, right? It's way too late to do that. And you know the age-old guns don't kill people, people kill people. That very much is true. But I guess I'll ask you guys a question I've asked in a video before. What is the solution to America's gun problem? With the current situation right now, with as many people that own guns as they do and as many people who are irresponsible with guns as they are, what is the solution? Because we've tried the, incarcerating people at a higher rate. We've tried the beefing up the standards, the criteria to owning a gun of some sort. What do we do to mitigate the problem of mass shootings in the United States? What would you guys' solution be? Because it is a very complex issue when you think about it. It's not simple. It's not an easy easy overnight, okay, if we just do this one thing, it all goes away.
Your house, going to the movies and getting shot there. You don't have to worry about guns at all. And all day long, Americans love to talk about how it's a Second Amendment right to open, conceal, and carry. But there's literally shootings every single day.
Yeah.
So the problem really is the guns, because that just does not happen over here.
Yeah, like I said, it's pretty sad. Pretty sad that that's something that we have to go through. But let's see what the comments had to say. I thought that just random Joe down the street could just be walking around with a gun is so scary. Now, I'm not afraid of guns, right? I'm afraid of irresponsible people that own guns. I do think that, you know, it's a cool feat to be able to own your own gun and defend your house if need be, but go figure, I don't feel the need to own one myself. I've never felt the need to own one. And I've lived in a very dangerous city before. I've lived in incredibly dangerous areas and felt the need to not have one on me. I will say something, and you guys let me know in the comments if you agree or not. I'm not afraid of guns. But I do think, from what I've observed in my 30 years of life, that bringing a gun into a situation typically makes the situation that much more intense, more high stakes. For instance, a lot of times, if people have the intent on breaking into your house and they know that you're armed, they know that they at least need to meet you with the force that you have. They're not afraid of your guns. If anything, they will bring their own guns into your home and try to harm you because they know that you also have a gun. I think that it creates a pretty intense situation. Now, I also think on the flip side, you're able to successfully defend yourself. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. I'm not saying that people should not have guns at all. I'm just saying that I do think that from what I've observed, it does tend to escalate situations that don't need to be escalated. That makes sense. So if you guys agree with that, let me know. That sentiment could go in many different directions. So that's just my opinion. We would have no idea America had schools if it wasn't for news about school shootings. That's diabolical. That's diabolical. I'll already make fun of our intelligence levels and stuff. And then, you know, you're like, man, do you guys even have schools over there? Oh yeah, I guess you do if you have like school shootings and stuff. America at this point is a failed experiment. A dystopic nightmare. It feels like that sometimes. There are some aspects where I'm like, wow, like these are some cool things, right? But more and more as I get older, I'm starting to notice a lot more issues that I think need to be resolved over time. It's going to take a lot of work, right? But I think the initial thing that we can do is just identify that there are problems. And it's crazy because I think one of our biggest issues that we have in America as Americans is that we refuse to acknowledge that most of the common problems even exist to begin with. And therein lies the biggest problem.
This is the funniest thing to experience as an American while being abroad. I lived in Paris for the last 4 months, and being abroad, I've traveled to a lot of different countries. And so many people, they would hear my American accent, right? And it was usually people in the older generation. It wasn't really people that were young. But they would come up to me and they'd be like, thank you. And they would just start thanking me. And I was always super confused. I was like, What are you thanking me for? And dead straight, they'd look at you in the eyes and they'd be like, thank you for your service. Thank you for World War II. And I'm like,
what?
No problem.
Wait, huh? What the heck? Is that even a thing for real? Ain't no way, bro. I have not heard that ever. I've literally never heard that. But maybe it is a thing. What? What?
Like, well, I got nothing to do with that. I was born 80 years later, but hey, man, we got y'all. We got y'all backs in the 1940s. Don't worry. And it's so funny to me that like people in the older generation will come up to me and my other friends, and they'll just start thanking us for like being an American for like World War II. It's the funniest thing.
That's insane. That's insane. I mean, hey, if that sentiment is true, then I mean, okay, I guess. What do the comments have to say about this? Our first comment says, the older generations are more appreciative because they were probably hounded by their parents about how the Americans liberated or helped them. I was thinking that it had to be something along those lines because I have heard similar stories, maybe not out of Europe per se, but since I've been in Asia, there have been situations where that has happened in the past and whatnot. And I was like, oh, okay. But it mainly, again, from older people, much older people. Never heard that in my life. I've heard of instances like that, but not in Europe, you know? Although, yes, obviously, yes, that's where American troops ultimately wound up during World War II and whatnot. And, you know, in conjunction with, you know, traveling over to Japan to do the obvious. I just did not hear the post World War II sentiment after that from anybody, really. You know, I just kind of cool. I mean, that's a very interesting thing to bring up, because I was not expecting that from this gentleman. I was expecting something different, like, oh yeah, like I didn't know that like carrier pigeons out here had different size feet or something. You know what I mean? Like it's like, oh yeah, actually, like these people are telling me thank you for my service, but I'm like, French people, really? Like okay. This actually happened to me in a bathroom in Normandy. An older lady came up and seemed absolutely fascinated that I was American. Then I went to Paris and got humbled immediately. Yeah, that's the biggest thing that threw me off. Is I've heard historically that specifically like most places in France, the people are very like maybe either introverted or fed up with the over tourism or whatever, but not the nicest. You know what I'm saying? Not the nicest from what I've heard for many years. I'm not saying everybody's mean, but there is more of a cold sentiment. So for him to even hear something like that to me is kind of diabolical. Also, I also heard that like, you know, and I could have this wrong, but in France, most people prefer to speak French, even at the expense of the people who do not know French at all. They'll continue speaking French with you. They'll respond to you, right? Like, but they won't really speak English or another language because, hey, you have to adapt to speaking French. Now, again, that's insane because based on what he's telling me, I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't seem like that's the interaction that he wound up having. The dude like, hey, in English, oh, thank you so much for your service. Interesting. Let's get into this next post.
Here are my least favorite things about Europe from someone who was just there for 20 days.
Okay, Mr. American Rage Baiter, yeah? There are 44 countries in Europe, which means you have spent less than half a day in each one, and you know us all? Ha! Let's see what you have to say.
Number one least favorite thing is there's no coffee.
Excuse me, sir?
Wait, what? What the heck? There's no coffee like at all? Like there's no coffee at all in the big ass continent of Europe? There's no coffee. That's nuts.
Yanking on my pizzle?
And you might think I'm crazy.
I'm thinking something far worse than crazy.
But they only have espresso.
What do you think espresso is, if not coffee?
You can get
he has to be rage baiting, dude. I swear he has to be rage baiting.
an Americano, which is their version of our coffee, which is espresso with water.
He just said there's no coffee. Then he proceeds to say that there's espresso. And then he says that there's Americano, which is their version of our coffee, which would make that coffee, which means there is coffee anywhere in Europe. And there's the espresso is a type of coffee. Is what is he talking about?
Our version of your coffee? I think not. We were drinking coffee in Europe before you were even an idea of a sperm in the testicles of your forefathers, okay? So no, our coffee is superior, and also the American filter coffee is tasting like crap, so you lose twice over.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, you could get any kind of coffee you could possibly imagine, but you cannot find a single coffee anywhere in Europe. What are you saying? Did you hear yourself?
But there is zero coffee. You can't get a regular drip coffee anywhere.
Okay, for starters, you can find drip coffee. You are a fool if you think you can't. And for seconds, why would you even want to? Yeah, when you have the option of espresso, obviously you would drink espresso. It is so much tastier. Or if you want, you could get a Turkish coffee. Yeah, instead you have.
Hey man, Turkish coffee, bro. Listen, Turkish coffee different, bro. When I flew to Germany, the flight that I was on, right, offered Turkish coffee, and I have never been cleaned out like that in my entire life. That is some fast acting coffee. It's good, but I probably should not be drinking that on an aircraft ever again. That is some powerful shiznit, Lord.
I've gone to all of the countries for like 30 seconds and complained you couldn't find coffee. You weren't anywhere long enough to find coffee. You were in the airports the whole time, flying from nation to nation. So all you drank was crappy Starbucks, probably.
My second least favorite thing is you can't get anywhere without having to plan.
What is this issue?
Bro, what? This is like, he's just having a hard time traveling. Like, he should just name that video 7 Things I Hate About Traveling, or 7 Things That Made Traveling Difficult Literally Anywhere. Number 1, me. Bro, this guy is cooked.
What? You would like to magically appear in different parts of the world? How are you getting anywhere without planning? This is a crazy thing to say. When you drive somewhere in your ridiculous American roads, are you not planning to get there? What a crazy thing to say.
You either have to walk or you have to take a subway, you have to take an Uber, something like that. You can't just get in your car and go where you want to go.
Bro, This guy is actually fried. He's rage baiting, obviously rage baiting, but he's fried. Having public transportation is one of the best things literally ever. Honestly, if I could go my entire life without driving a vehicle, I would be happy, right? Because here in South Korea that I live right now, I don't have to worry about having a car. I take the bus, I'll take a taxi, I'll take the train, right? Everything is walkable and everything's easily accessible, and the public transportation is not just affordable, but incredibly convenient. So what is he talking about? Rage bait, and he got me. I'm fuming.
Oh, I'm sorry, in America, do you not have access to Ubers and public transport?
Well, I will say this, not really. Our public transport is turbo ass, and Uber costs an arm, leg, and a goat sacrifice. I remember when Uber was a thing initially in the United States 12-ish years ago, and it was cool. It was a nice alternative to taking taxis and stuff if you were in a major city. It was awesome. I got from point A to point B, and it was cheaper than taking a taxi. But nowadays, man, it's damn near $40 for a 10-minute ride? $40? That's insane. That's insane.
And your own feet? Also, yeah, you can drive to places in Europe. Of course you can, you crazy fool. And yeah, I know America is a driving country because you have built everything so far apart that you couldn't possibly walk there. And if there is a public footpath, it doesn't go anywhere. But you cannot complain that Europe has solved how you get from one place to another in the most convenient way possible, as meaning you have to think about it, okay? This is crazy talk.
My last thing is that it's expensive for phone plans when you go over there, so using cellular kind of feels like you're wasting money.
I'm sorry you are getting ripped off, my friend, but...
what the heck?
Yeah, you can pick up like a temporary SIM for 20 euros. Most of us do not need to because it is free roaming around Europe. So, yeah, sorry.
This, oh man. The individual the original originator, the guy that, we're responding to, right? He doesn't know about international phone plans, apparently, because that's what I have. I actually have two phone numbers, right? I have my American phone number that has an international plan, and I have a phone number here in South Korea that, is just, for navigating through South Korea. It's actually pretty convenient because I can use like almost all of their apps now, which is pretty cool. But yeah, like plan around that. Jesus Christ. The thing is, the individual that's complaining about all of these, very like, come on, bro. These are just like basic travel things that you need to know 101. Like, and apparently he just does not have it in him to travel. So 20 days of amateur traveler experience, part 1.
So maybe put your phone down for 3 seconds whilst you speed run the whole of Europe, because you are missing genuinely beautiful architecture for the first time in your life, amongst many other things.
Sorry if this makes me sound like a stupid American, but that's what I feel.
Sir, you are...
He might actually fall in that category, unfortunately. Brother, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is hard to digest. I'll let this gentleman here to finish his point, because he's about to make some of the same points I'm making.
Offering me such low-hanging fruit that I couldn't possibly take it away from you. But yeah, you are correct. Okay, goodbye.
Yeah, let's go ahead and look directly into these comments, because I cannot believe what we just witnessed. This is insane. American coffee is not coffee. And I agree. Our next comment says, they think Europe is a country. That unfortunately rings to be true. A lot of us do think that Europe is a country. I know it's a continent, but if you ask your average American if Europe is a continent or a country, you might get a variety of answers. Right? It should just be one answer, right? It should just be one, but you're gonna get a variety of answers. The most disappointing thing about the USA is the USA. Yeah, it seems to be like that a little bit recently, but hopefully we can restore ourselves to at least being a bit better than we've been recently, So here's to hoping for that. We have a long way to go, but the road to progress is acknowledging that we have several issues. Right. And I think that is kind of what we're struggling with right now. Yo. That's so real. That is so real. That's what I've been talking about. See, Now you have an actual live piece of footage to back up what I was saying. I told you guys about my experience in Aachen, Germany, when like a little firework went off, except it sounded like 10 times louder than that, right? And I freaked out. So hearing the cadence of that out of the absolute random blue while I'm eating food, I would be freaking out. I would have wiped everything off the table and ducked in for cover, you know? I would have turned the table into a bulletproof shield, you know what I mean? That is insane. That is crazy. American core. And that is so real. I'm telling you, like the second I hear pop, 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 I'm on the ground, okay? You have to get as low as possible, make yourself look as small as possible so you do not get impacted by what may or may not be a series of bullets. Unfortunately, that's just how, it was like growing up in the United States and stuff. You just never know who's gonna crash out, okay? That's just a reality for us. American core. I feel like I should be able to sue the federal government for emotional damage at this point. Real? Would we win though? I don't think so, but very valid, very valid. This is actually sad, right? I mean, who wants to live in fear like that? I tell you guys all the time, that is one of the biggest gripes and complaints I have about the United States is the element of safety. I love the fact that I can just get up and walk around. It's nighttime currently in South Korea. It is currently 8 p.m. right? And it's pitch black outside. I could walk in alleyways and anywhere, literally anywhere, and I would be 100,000% fine. I can't do that in the United States. I cannot. That is not a reality, you know, unfortunately. And there's many other places outside of the United States that you can't do that in either. But, you know, where I'm at now, I definitely can. So it's sad. It's real sad. But let me know if there are some other things that Americans have freaked out about throughout Europe and stuff in your country. And like the common things you guys have probably noticed is you're like, come on, bro, it's not that big of a deal. Or you're like, dang, you guys really don't have that? Like, come on now. And make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We have a lot more of these bangers coming up. And I will see you very soon. Take care. Peace.